Normally, you'd like to know the answer beforehand. You did the head nod as Kirk Cousins says, "If I die, I die." Like he went Drago on you.
Yeah.
What? That was quite something. What?
Yeah.
When did you interview him, by the way?
It goes back a few weeks, Rich.
Okay.
And Kirk is kind of an old buddy. Like we're both from the Chicago suburbs. We have a lot of the same dad humor. So he came on and we stumbled into that topic. That's not something that I had in my bullet points or my planned questions or anything. And we started talking about, because this is a few weeks ago, like I said, what do you think the facility is going to be like, Kirk, in this corona world? And he said, well, I think there's going to be a dichotomy of some guys who couldn't care less, some guys who were really into it. And he mentioned something about masks, and so I just threw it out out of left field. I just said, scale of 1 to 10, Kirk. Everybody has a number. What's your mask sensitivity? Are you a 1 where you don't care and think it's pointless, or 10, you're never leaving the house again and you're really nervous? And he says 0.00001, which I was really surprised by. And I think to your great credit here, Rich, on the show with you and the staff, I liked that you played the full soundbite because it's gotten real clickbaity today. And it's just basically been boiled all the way down to if I die, I die, which, as you said, the worst thing you want to give the Internet is a well-worn Ivan Drago trope that they can run with and Photoshop Kirk Cousins' head onto giant Soviet shoulders. So they've done it. It's left the barn. I was very surprised at the time he said it because it's kind of a hard quote to follow. I think his bottom line is, I don't really wear masks for myself, and I'm comfortable, but I do it so that other people are comfortable, and that's how I get down. I think that's what he means.
Yeah, it's what he's. Well, I mean, it was one of those where I didn't quite follow, but we do know that there's a large part of our population that is mask averse, and I'm not one of them. And the fact is that the NFL and the Players Association have essentially been advocates for wearing masks, as has pretty much anybody who's an athlete, I guess, in many ways, to make a living, because that's the way that we can possibly have sports. So to hear somebody of Kirk's stature say that, it was a little jarring to me. I'm not going to lie, but I was at least pleased to hear that he said, and this is no virtue signaling or anything like that. And you've been very, you had a video a couple weeks, if not a month ago, talking about the importance of mask wearing that went very viral, if I'm not mistaken. I was at least pleased to hear him say that he does it for the comfort of others and also to make sure that he might not be inadvertently getting anyone else sick.
Yeah, I mean, Rich, we have a big mask household here. We don't leave the house. We don't get the mail. We don't do anything without it. But I think you tapped into what is really reverberating with this. If an athlete just said something that pissed people off, that's a dime a dozen, and people, have their pound of flesh and they get mad about it. What's interesting about this is that if you go into the social media hallways where this is reverberating, there are thousands of people who are tweeting things like, my respect for Kirk Cousins just skyrocketed. Finally, somebody said it. Now here's an athlete I can finally agree with. It's not just this one-sided thing. There are countless masses of non-maskers or of champions of the non-mask who are now rallying behind the quote. We can't fall into thinking that just because you and I wear masks that everyone does. Kirk Cousins is not being torn apart unilaterally for this quote. In fact, in some circles, he's being championed.